Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for an informative and exciting Oceania Cruises webinar. My name is Johanna de Guzman. I am the Manager of Industry Relations for North American Travel Trade Membership here at CLIA. And I'm just going to quickly go through some housekeeping before introducing our presenter. The webinar will run for about 40 to 45 minutes with time for questions at the end. Please feel free to type your questions into the questions module of the webinar, and we will get to them at the conclusion of the presentation. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted on CLIA's YouTube channel, CLIA Global. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter, Trisha Wolf. Trisha Wolf is the Vice President of Sales for North America and an original member of Oceania team since 2003. Trisha began her career at Intrav, traveling the world, and discovered her love for this industry. She is from St. Louis, Missouri, where she currently lives with her 7-year-old triplet girls. She loves St. Louis because she is able to travel east, west, north, and south in a matter of 3 hours, which makes it convenient for everyone.
Good morning, good afternoon. It's great to be here. I'm so excited to be able to talk to you all, and thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. As the Vice President of Sales living in St. Louis, it's great because you're right, I can travel across North America very quickly and easily and efficiently. And when you have triplet girls at home, it's nice to, you got to take every minute you can with them because time definitely goes quickly, as I'm sure you all know. So I wanted to give you a brief an introduction on Oceania. I want to talk to you about our wonderful new ship Vista, and talk to you about Simply More. We have so much to talk about in 40 minutes, so I'm going to do the best I can. But let's see if I can get my screen to show properly. Okay, so Oceania Cruises. If I'm not showing it properly, I'm sure someone will tell me. You should see a big picture of the Taj Mahal right now. Oceania Cruises is 20 years old. It's our 20th anniversary. And what I love about Oceania is that we took a product way back in 2003, and we thought, okay, there's luxury out there, there's premium, there's contemporary out there. What can we do differently, and how can we do it? And we knew there was a way to do it better, and we believe we found it by creating this upper premium niche within the cruise industry. And I have to say, being an original, I started as a sales director in 2003. I moved to Dallas and took on a 7-state territory at the time, and it was exciting to be part of it from the beginning, and especially this 20th anniversary, to be able to really enjoy the memories of where we started and now where we're going and how we've evolved. So one of the things that when we started with Oceania is we created this tagline called your world, your way. And what makes it what makes that absolutely amazing is that, you have your luxury cruise lines and it's all inclusive, right? So there's no choices, and you have your premium cruise lines and you wish you had more choices. And with Oceania, we give you the choices that we believe you want to make for your vacation to be that much better, right? Everybody is different. Not one person is the same, and we know that. So we give you the opportunity to make your own decisions. Not that everyone else doesn't, but we want to give you as much opportunity as we possibly can. And I also think we've done that with the size of our ships, the fact that it's quiet on board, right? If you want to travel and be with a group of 10 or 12 guests, or if you want to be with 30 or 40, you can, but we don't have all the crowds. And you'll notice that as your guests are traveling and you have to listen to those cues. This is a big cue for you to listen to for your clients. They've been on a particular product, it was great, the food was wonderful, but, and when you hear that but, or it was wonderful, but we had to wait in line at the port for, an hour. Even that's a cue. And those cues that's a hint for you to be able to say, okay, I think they're ready for Oceania. I think we can do this. And you know your clients and you know what they're looking for. So when you think Oceania, there's 3 distinct pillars that we have stayed true from the very beginning. We're a small ship luxury cruise line where we have ships from 650 guests to 1,250 guests. We have exquisitely crafted cuisine. That's the hallmark of Oceania. It's been there from the very beginning, and we continue to evolve. And I'm going to talk to you about the different things, what makes us different at this point, because we do have a lot of competition in that cuisine segment. And then, of course, our curated travel experiences, which we've always been destination focused. But again, here's what's great about competition. It allows us to make some changes and to evolve and to make it better for our cruise line and what we do best. So we've got, 3 different classes of ships right now. It's so hard to believe that back in 2003, we started with 3 little vessels. That's where the story started. And today, with the Regatta class ships, we have 4 ships that are around 650 guests, give or take a few on each of the different vessels. And it started out with, you can see on the right here, the beautiful, elegant library, the grand staircase. She's had some refurbishments along the way, but a beautiful, smaller vessel that gets into the exotic destinations, allows the ship to dock instead of anchor and then tender in, and features some, our open seating dining menus along with some specialty restaurants as well. So on this ship, we have 2 specialty restaurants on this class of ships. Then as we moved into 2011 and 12, we introduced the Oceania class, and that's the Marina and the Riviera. And her fleet ranges from about 1,230 guests to 1,250 guests. We have over 750 crew members on board. The great thing about these ships is, as we evolved into a larger ship, we didn't take away the space or the number of crew members that are available to take care of your clients on board. We did add, some additional space. We allowed for some additional dining venues. This is where the home of Red Ginger and Jacques are in the Regatta, the Marina and the Riviera. And again, it's the brand has maintained and stayed the same. And that's what I think is really great. As you sail on any of our ships, you notice that the venues are in the same areas. It might be a different deck level, but everyone that sails on Oceania knows that the Polo Grill and the Toscana are in aft of the ship and up on one of the top decks, just like the theater is in the front of the ship, or the Horizons Lounge, of course, is at the front of the ship, so that you have beautiful panoramic views. And now in 2023, 20 years later, we have the Allure class. And I was very fortunate to be able to sail on our Vista, which had her inaugural debut back in May. What an amazing, spectacular ship she is. She's 1,200 guests. And what I absolutely enjoy is the fact that we've maintained our brand, and yet we have elevated the product to where she really evolves with our 3 brand core pillars. But she's the future of Oceania. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through just some random pictures, try to take you on a tour of some components of the ship so that you can see the elegance of who she is. So this is, as you embark the ship on day 1, you walk into this beautiful grand staircase, and of course you can see the reception area here. It's just absolutely magnificent. At night it lights up, and there's not a bad place on board this reception area where you just have beautiful views. As you walk up the grand staircase, you walk into the grand lounge, and as you're waiting for to go to the grand dining room, this is what you see. So you can see there's lots of artwork. It's got a very elegant taste to it, a very luxurious feel. the ship has very lighter color palettes, and therefore our Regatta class and our Oceania class have been refurbished as well to have a very lighter color palette throughout. The grand dining room is something I don't think I've ever seen on any of the other cruise ships, but it's kind of got little stations, or it's sectioned off so that you don't feel like you're in a room with a lot of passengers on board. And it's just very elegantly stated. You can see the chandeliers as there's about 4 or 5 of them in the middle of the grand dining room, and just such a wonderful area. The nice thing about the grand dining room, and of course our terrace cafe, is that it's open seating dining. You get to choose, again, go back to your world, your way. You get to choose when you want to have dinner each evening, when you are ready to dine. If you're in the grand bar and enjoying a wonderful cocktail, you can do that. And as you're ready, 6:30, 7:30, you just walk over to the grand dining room and you can have a wonderful experience. And this had to just show off. This is just on special occasions. We have a wonderful Sunday brunch on board our ships. And of course on special occasions. So you can see the beautiful cheeses. We have a wonderful seafood table, and there's so much more. I don't want to give away all the secrets because it's nice for your clients to be able to sail with us and have little surprises along the way. So this was a surprise for me. The bakery on board our Vista is wonderful. I can't even tell you what my favorite bakery item was, and I spent a pretty decent amount of time. We'd walk through, smell the wonderful baked goods, take a walk over to the baristas, enjoy a cup of coffee, and then have a seat, and we would be served a bakery item. The Nutella donuts or the apple stuffed donuts are absolutely wonderful, although everything I had was wonderful. And then, of course, throughout, you saw a picture of the library on the Regatta class ships. And as we move forward, we continue to evolve. It's a very special place. It's located right next to the bakery and then by the Baristas Cafe as well. So if someone wants a cup of coffee and then enjoy a wonderful book to read, they can. But what's really nice about this is there's little nooks throughout. So you're not sitting in a big, large library. Even off to the right, this particular slide is another component of our library. On the left, the picture is our Ember. So that's a new restaurant for Oceania, introduced on the Allura class. And again, this restaurant was designed to allow for a guest who wants to have a sit-down dinner, wants to have a 3-course dining experience, but a little bit faster than our standard Polo Grill, Toscana, and other restaurants. And the beef, I know that I had a wonderful piece of fish. I was actually sitting right there in front where you can see the 2 seats. That was where I sat. And again, you can see it's all sectioned off as well, but really well designed and absolutely wonderful. And again, if you didn't know, we do not charge for any of our specialty restaurants. So on the Vista, on the Marina and Riviera, where we have 4 specialty dining venues, there's no charge. We just ask that you make a reservation in advance. And most of the time, everybody knows where they're going. I will tell you the days at sea are the most popular. So as you are sailing with us and you get all your reservations, you might want to help your clients out with getting their reservations for those particular restaurants. There's always availability as they get on board the ship as well. And then we have our culinary kitchen. This is the wall on Vista with, of course, the chopping knife and the spatula. But as you can see over to the right, this is our beautiful culinary kitchen, which actually has evolved from our Marina class. Our Marina class has 12 cooking stations, and then our Allura class has 24 cooking stations. Allows a guest to, this is an additional cost, but pay an additional fee to have a hands-on cooking class. And again, was able to really, take a class and enjoy it. Our chefs, Chef Catherine Kelly, do an absolutely wonderful job of walking us through the entire process. In addition to that, which I'll explain a little bit later, we have some wonderful culinary discovery tours. that are available as well. I just felt when sailing on Oceania, whether it's the Insignia or our Marina Riviera, all the way up to our Vista, I just feel like because of the size of the ship, a guest sailing, if you want to see, if you're with a group of people, you're going to see them all the time. And if you're by yourself, that's a couple or even a solo passenger, you see the people you want to see, and you are able to dine with them, and you see them at the pool. When I sailed last, it was very interesting. There was a friend on board, and I knew they were on board the ship, but I think I saw them once throughout a 10-day voyage. And it just happens to be they were doing their thing and we were doing our thing. And that just goes to show that even on a 1,200 guest ship, that you still have the quiet moments, and you still have the times where you don't feel like you're on that big of a ship, mostly because of the space ratio that we have on board. This is our Aquamar Culinary Kitchen, and I have to say this is again, our cuisine is 5-star cuisine. So this is where you would go if you wanted to get a poke bowl or something light. A lot of our guests are using this for, of course, breakfast and lunch, and it's just a nice option rather than going in the Terrace Cafe every day. And the Terrace Cafe, again, I'll talk to you about, that's what makes us different, is one of the opportunities that we have with our Terrace Cafe. And again, as you look through, you have your afternoon tea, and of course, red ginger is a favorite amongst all of our past guests that have sailed with us. So many different options. And then you look at all the artwork on board across the fleet. These are just some of my favorites, and you can see that, you know, we don't have any auctions on board, but we do have amazing artwork, and we do offer an experience to walk you through and tour the ship with an audio device to give you an idea of the type of artwork that we have on board. And we have our signature restaurants, our Toscana restaurant, and then also our Polo Grill. And what we've added to the Vista that we don't have on our other fleets is that we have a private dining room as well. So think our Privé restaurant or La Reserve, where you can reserve that room for a small fee. If someone's celebrating an anniversary or a big birthday, that would be a great opportunity. I think it's about, I don't want to give you the exact cost because I don't have it in front of me, but again, a really great opportunity to have a more secluded and what experience. And I keep talking about the quiet moments on board, but as far as the quiet moments, think about our wonderful sanctuary, our spa, that again, if you're in a concierge level or above, you have access to, it's all complimentary to our spa deck that has amazing views. We have you know, a beautiful thalassotherapy whirlpool and wonderful, you know, options for seating. I know that, you know, you can see some guests will just go to the spa area and enjoy that entire afternoon, take a nap, whatever it is, but enjoy the sanctuary of what this spa actually offers, and plenty of treatment rooms is available as well. So our exquisitely crafted cuisine is another pillar. And again, I've said that's the hallmark of Oceania. So what makes us different? There's so many cruise lines out there that have amazing cuisine, which is great because a guest does not want to compromise. If they're used to having really great cuisine on shore at their homes, then they want to have that as they're sailing. And if they're not, they want to be indulged and have a wonderful experience. And across the board with our entire fleet, they will have 5-star service and cuisine. But in addition to that, this is something different that we do. We offer chef market dinners. And that's something that you don't want to miss. We offer it in the Terrace Cafe. in about 27 different ports of call around the globe, and it's a guest favorite. It's a great opportunity to sample fresh local cuisine in a very relaxing al fresco environment. And again, when you think about that, when you're sailing in Portofino, or you're in, the Caribbean, and you want to experience a local cuisine, sometimes you don't have an opportunity because you're on shore, and maybe we depart around 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. So this gives you the opportunity. Our chefs go out into the local markets for you, do all the work, and then you get to enjoy the cuisine that they make. Another difference with Oceana is where we have our baristas, we also offer a wine, like a wine pairing experience. So in the evening, you've had your coffee in the afternoon and morning. Now it turns into a wonderful wine tasting with some small little hors d'oeuvres as well. And so that's a really great opportunity. We also have La Reserve. La Reserve on our Marina and Riviera allow for a 7-course wine pairing experience. Those are additional costs that we can provide you. And this, again, serving al fresco, this is the Terrace Cafe. So how wonderful is it as you're sailing out of the port of Monte Carlo, or Civitavecchia, or Livorno, or Sorrento, anywhere in South America. You can tell we travel all over the world, but to be able to dine outside as we're pulling away from a particular port, or as we're pulling into port, you're having breakfast in the morning and being able to enjoy the scenery. It's such a wonderful experience. Not to mention we have an open grill. So some guests love lobster and enjoy it so much. That's just one particular type of cuisine. But if you wanted to have lobster every evening on board Oceana, I challenge you to talk to your clients about that and have them do that, because you can do that in every one of our specialty restaurants. There's always the lobster option. And then in our Terrace Cafe, if you're just looking for a grilled lobster tail, you can definitely take advantage of that as well. And then as we move into our curated travel experiences, we sail all over the world, and you can see that we have 7 ships. And with those 7 ships, we offer voyages from 7 days to 180 days. And even moving in, if you wanted to extend, you could increase that to 200 days if you were looking for it. So, we position our ships where the sun is, and make sure that with our smaller ships, we position those to where you can get into some of the exotic destinations and dock as opposed to anchor and tender in. Even our 1,250 guests can dock in so many more places than the larger ships, and that makes a big difference. Knowing that it takes about 45 minutes to disembark all of our guests if we needed to at one time. There's not much waiting in line, and I think that's will be the biggest difference. I have to tell you, before I get into some of the itineraries, I was sailing a few years ago, and it was just a small cruise. We went to Bermuda, and I noticed that there was another ship in at the same time we were. And what I noticed the most as I was sitting out at a late breakfast on the Terrace Cafe, I noticed that there was a very long line of passengers from the other cruise line that was waiting to get on the tender to get out to their ship. And that takes away from the beach time and the shopping and the exploring and the education that every guest is looking for as they're in each particular port of call. So, I've just got a few itineraries to preview so that you can get an idea of where we sail and how we do it. We try not to offer a 7-day round trip voyage. You can see here, this is a 20-day voyage in April on our Vista, and it's from Rome to Venice. In some of our itineraries, we may have an overnight in Venice, so you arrive a day, spend a day on board the ship, and you're able to do evening excursions. You may have an overnight throughout, but you can see this one's featuring quite a bit of Italy. It's going to go into Ephesus and Istanbul, a little bit of the Greek Isles, and then featuring Barcelona, Valencia, Alicante as well. So hitting a lot of different places that maybe, you know, a larger ship couldn't do in that amount of time. You're even visiting Cinque Terre, which is a boutique port of call. And a Northern Europe itinerary that I wanted to show you is our Irish Emeralds. And our Irish Emeralds, this is a Dublin to Dublin. It's a 10-day voyage, August 4th on the Nautica. So again, one of our beautiful regatta class ships, and you're going to see, you're going to enjoy the Baltic and our Northern Europe, our British Isles itineraries. If you're looking for more than just British Isles, this is another option, Dublin to Boston. And again, you're getting up into, not only are you hitting Ísafjörður and Reykjavik into Iceland, but you're also getting Greenland as well. And this is just a beautiful picture of one of our guests that took a picture of the fjords up in Northern Europe. Okay, so so you've got your cruise booked, your clients, you've got your cruise booked for your clients, and now what options are there? So let me just tell you that when it comes to Oceania, and we talk about a curated travel experience, we want to make sure that it is experiential. And that's a buzzword right now. It's a big word because everyone wants to experience something different. And so we've offered a lot of different types of choices for your clients, whether it's a Go Local tour or Go Green. We've also got something called Beyond Blueprints, and even just a private car and driver. There's so many different options. If a guest has never sailed on Oceania or never sailed to a particular port, a nice city regional highlight tour is also an option. But there's 8,000 different options for your clients to choose from. I wouldn't get overwhelmed with that number. I would just know that there are so many different options to choose from. And based on some of the questions you're going to ask your clients, you'll know if they're looking for a bigger regional experience or a smaller Go Local. And so what our Go Local excursions involve is very small batch immersive tours. If someone wants to go visit a market, you know, with a small group, or visit with a local fisherman, or in New Zealand, you can go sheep shearing. I have to say that a few times before I actually say it. A truffle farm is also a nice Go Local tour as well. So think about getting into the community and enjoying and learning more about what the local community has to offer. That's our Go Local. And then, of course, there is so much architecture throughout the world that we created, and some excursions specifically catered to the architecture across Europe and other areas of the world. So it's actually led by a local architectural historian, and they're able to give you the information that you're interested in. And that's not for everybody, but we do know that there's just so many beautiful sculptures and buildings that it's nice to understand the history. And then, of course, this is, I think, where we started with a lot of our this is how we evolved into our excursions, is our culinary discovery tours. It's being able to, again, go to a local market or go to a restaurant and learn how they make a particular type of pasta or a pizza or something that is specific to the area that you're visiting. And so again, it's chef curated. Our culinary chefs will actually go to that excursion with you and enjoy it and follow you along so that they can give you the tips that you need for that particular destination. There's probably some wine involved and some great food. Of course, I would assume anything that you get to make, you end up eating as well. So that makes it fun too. So let's talk about the trends. I've talked to you a lot about who we are and our product and what type of client we have, let's talk about some trends. And with some of the trends we've seen, and you probably all have as well, that clients are upgrading. They're looking for a smaller vessel. They want bigger suites. They just want a little bit better than what they've had before. And they know that it's out there. And that's where Oceania comes in. The other thing that I think is interesting is, and again, I would push it back onto COVID, in that when COVID existed and was in the height of it, as a guest decided they were ready to start traveling again, they said, you know what? I'm going to go. I didn't get to do anything in 20 and 21 and maybe 22. And so I'm ready to go. And so we're seeing a lot of our clients take longer voyages. We're also seeing we have solo staterooms on board the majority of our cruise vessels now, which is also wonderful because there's quite a few solo, I went backwards instead of forwards. Quite a few solo guests out there. And so we have plenty of options for them as well. When I talked about longer voyages, I'm going to just give you 2 or 3 long grand voyages. This is one of my favorites. So take a look at this. This is where you start off. It's a 74-day voyage where you're sailing from Sydney and then you're ending in Santiago de Chile. So you start off in Sydney on board Regatta, where you will do a circumnavigation of Australia and New Zealand as well. And then you'll catch a flight from Sydney to Ushuaia, where you will board the marina, and then you will sail along the coast of South America. And this is where, if you're looking for something new and different and you have a client that's done more of the longer grand voyages, this would be something different for them. And then you can see here, this is a Tokyo to Vancouver. So again, you're going to get quite a bit of Japan, and then of course crossing over into Alaska, or sailing to Alaska, into Kodiak and Huna, Ketchikan, and then ending in Vancouver. And with most of these, when you see them, some of them can be broken out. So yes, we have our grand voyages, but I told you in the beginning that we don't really like to do a round trip Rome or a round trip Venice. We tend to, as much as we can, spread it out so that you can basically create your back-to-backs, or look at the ones that we've created already for you. And this is a Sydney to Papeete. Okay, so I'm almost done. I know I'm getting into time here, and I know we want some Q&A, but as far as the value proposition for Oceania and the guest experience, we're trying to make it as simple and effective as possible. So with that in mind, I did tell you I was going to talk about Simply More, which is our new promotion. So it's Goodbye O-Life and it's Hello Simply More. O-Life Choice was our previous promotion that it ended on June 30th, and then we picked up our Simply More. Simply More, as you can see here, it's new, it's industry leading, and it's our brand value promise. It provides your clients with more of what they want. So again, we go back to your world, your way. What are your clients looking for? And this offers them the simplicity, choices, more experiences, and value as well. Let me show you what it looks like if we break it down piece by piece. So any bookings made July 1st on for sailings that take place October 1st on will be offered Simply More. And when you look at it, Oceania Cruises has always offered our 2-for-1 cruise fares, and then of course round trip airfare. And what's great about the round trip airfare that we've introduced just this past year is it is economy class, but there's a opportunity if a guest wants to fly in 1, 2, 3 days early, or sail, or again stay 1, 2, 3 days post, they can do that, and they get a complimentary air deviation or custom air fee. So when when looking at that, if your guest is looking to fly in 2 days early, normally there was a cost involved in that, and now that is complimentary. We also have free airport transfers on day of embarkation and disembarkation. We also have our gourmet specialty dining, which I know I've told you about that throughout this presentation, that there are all of our specialty dining restaurants on board the ships are complimentary, and we just ask that you make a reservation. There are some like La Reserve and Privé that do have an additional cost, but you know, there's some guests that don't necessarily need or want that experience. So our specialty dining is 5-star cuisine. And then now we've had unlimited Wi-Fi, but it's been only available for 1 device per stateroom, and we've opened it up to 2 devices per stateroom. So that's a big bonus for many of our guests. We listened, we heard you, and we know that many of the guests are looking, you know, there's multiple devices that are constantly going at the same time. So to be able to have that, it's a good perk. And we're also working with Starlink. So we'll have Starlink, we have Starlink on the Vista, but we will continue to evolve and have Starlink on the rest of the ships, but it's being rolled out. It's a timed rollout. So, and then of course what Simply More is, we have we've now introduced free shore excursions, and then free champagne, wine, and more. So it's complimentary shore excursions, and basically what that is it's a shore credit that is available on the different voyages, and it's based on the length of the cruise. And go back to where I said you have 8,000 tour options. In previous, when we had a shipboard credit or excursions available, it was limited to specific excursions. Now you get to choose. So if you have a $600 per stateroom shore credit, you can use that on any of the excursions that we offer, including a private car and driver. And what does our free champagne, wine, and more mean? Well, it's at lunch and dinner in all of the dining venues, along with Waves as well. So Waves is our poolside dining venue, and of course, if you're enjoying a cocktail at Waves, then you can go take it and sit out by the pool. But that's what's available, and it's as this slide says, it's not just your house pours. There's more than 30 plus choices of wine and champagnes and premium labels as well. And this just gives you an idea of what the Simply More excursion credit is. So if a guest is sailing 7 to 9 days, they're going to receive a $600 per stateroom shore credit to be used on the shore excursions. I have, I think, just 2 or 3 slides left here. I wanted to, in regards to our value proposition, throughout the year, we have certain voyages that, you know, we offer a sale. Right now, we're in a summer sale promotion where you receive your Simply More, plus it's a savings of up to 40% on select sailings and select voyages. So that would be more tactical sailings, any voyages that are closer in or into Q4 and Q1 of next year would be available based on you know, how well that sailing is doing. But that offer expires August 31st. And the great thing about it is combinable with your consortia amenities. So when you think of your consortia amenities, if you are a member of a consortia, then in some cases you'll receive shipboard credit or prepaid gratuities depending on what your exclusives are. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. That's the end of my presentation. I hope you learned something. I hope you're ready to talk to your clients about sailing with us and enjoying a wonderful cruise experience with Oceania Cruises.
Trisha, thank you so much for that great presentation. It was very engaging, very informative. We did have a few questions here, but I do want to let you know of one comment coming from one of our attendees. They did want to tell you that they recently sold an Oceania suite aboard Marina to a great client, and they were absolutely blown away by how easy it was to redeem the Oceania $150 CLIA bonus commission. They
Perfect.
followed the instructions. It appeared right on their agency invoice within a week, and they just wanted to say thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. I'm so glad it was easy and simple, and I hope you take advantage of it more in the future.
So to build on that, we actually did have a few attendees asking if you could provide a little bit more information about the CLIA bonus commission and how that works and how they can get involved with that.
Sure. So I believe that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that as they take a particular course or go to our Travel Advisor University, we have bonus commission certificates that are available to redeem. And there's usually an expiration date to it. I think it's $150, and then there's an expiration date. But I can send you all the additional details. I know we have some information that our team can send out in regards to that.
Great. I'm sure a lot of attendees would find that information really helpful. Another question we had, a few attendees are asking or letting us know that they have a couple clients who are kind of teetering on deciding whether or not to cruise with Oceania, and they were wondering if you had any tips on enticing them or helping them decide on which ship to go on with Oceania. I know you went over some promotions, but if there's any other tips or advice that you could give our attendees, that would be helpful.
So that's a pretty big question. I would highly recommend anyone that has clients that are on the fence, reaching out to your sales director or your business development manager. You can do that by going online to the Travel Advisor Center and learning who your salesperson is, or you can contact Oceania Cruises. Our sales resource center will be more than happy to help you determine who that is. But in regards to the question at hand, I believe that, again, it goes back to the cues. If you have a client that's been sailing on a particular cruise line and it's a large cruise line and they're used to all the perks and the activities on board, then I would focus them on sailing on Oceania, on the Marina or the Riviera or the Vista, because there's plenty of activities on board, a bigger spa, a bigger fitness area, our culinary center. There's pickleball on some of our ships as well, golf, and so there's more options. Then if you have a guest that's on the fence and you know that they are a guest that is let's call it a bucket list. I need to hit a certain number of ports. I want to add this to my list. Then I would look at some of our more exotic cruises on either the Regatta Insignia. Our Alaska program is amazing, South America, Australia, New Zealand. So I hope that helps answer your question, but I can tell you that every one of our sales team loves to brainstorm with our travel advisors and loves to help them figure out what client is best for Oceania.
Great, thank you so much. I actually just received this information just to kind of backtrack, to go back to the bonus commission. So I know that, or I see here that Oceania offers a $100 and a $150 bonus commission coupon every year for advisors who are current CLIA members. Could you just go into that a little bit more just to provide a little bit of clarity? And I think a few of our attendees may have missed that.
So I was just making sure I had exactly all the information as well. But basically, CLIA, you all will send the advisors a form, and then they have to complete the form and submit it to our sales operations department. And from there, all the instructions are on the form as to how to retrieve that $100 or $150. And I think there's specific directions on the form that says what qualifies, which bonus commission qualifies for either the 100 or the 150. I hope that answered the question. Did I lose you?
Trisha, can you still hear me?
Oh, I can hear you.
Oh, there we go. So another question we had was regarding the accessibility on board the ships for Oceania. Could you touch base a bit on that?
Yeah, so we do have some accessibility staterooms on board all of our ships, and it's just a matter of reaching out to our guest services team. We have all of our deck plans will show what's available. The one thing to keep in mind is if a guest has, if they are wheelchair bound and unable if they're wheelchair bound, then keep in mind that there's like a step up to all the bathrooms in most of our suites and staterooms. So there are some suites and staterooms that have accessibility that do not have that. And that's just a matter of, again, reaching out to our guest services team, and they can provide you with all of those details.
Great, thank you so much. A few of our attendees are asking about adult-only cruises or any activities for kids and youth aboard. Could you touch base on that a bit?
Sure, absolutely. So we do not have, so we're not an adult-only cruise line, but I would highly recommend children maybe over the age of 12 sailing on Oceania, because while there are activities, we do not have a kids club. We do not have a particular area where kids can have their own activities. Now we do in Alaska offer some youth programs that are available, but it's specific to certain areas of the world. In the summer months, we do have more children on board than we normally do, but it's for, in my opinion, it's for clients or families. Sometimes we have multi-generational groups, and if you're enjoying your shore excursions, your children, your family is as well.
Great, thank you so much for that. Another question that we had here was around the culinary experiences that you spoke about. One person was asking if there's any gluten-free options, how do they address any allergies that their clients may have, or dietary restrictions?
Absolutely. So again, being a culinary cruise line and focused heavily on culinary, we know that that is a big factor. There's plenty of options for gluten-free. If you have any dietary restrictions, you let us know in advance or when you get on board the ship, but we always plan for guests that have dietary restrictions. In some cases, you'll be able to meet with a chef to be able to go over your specific needs, and we can accommodate.
That's great.
I will say we have a lot of healthy options. The Aquamar Culinary Kitchen, Wade's Grill, there's plenty of healthy options as well. And I always say, okay, I'm going to eat really good for breakfast and lunch, and then I might have dessert in the evening, because who doesn't want dessert every night? So again, it's up to you. It's based on your choices and your lifestyle.
Could you speak about one of your favorite culinary experiences that you've had aboard one of the Oceania cruise lines?
Oh my goodness. So as far as a culinary experience in regards to the cuisine, red ginger is my absolute favorite. I love that I love the sushi options or the sashimi options, but I also love, as you walk in and you sit down, they have a little dish next to you, and it's got a tablet in it, and everybody kind of goes, well, what's that? And the staff pour a little bit of water over it, and it opens up into a moist towelette. And then after that, as you're sitting there looking at the menu, someone comes over and they present you with a box of 5 different types of chopsticks to use for your experience. Basically level 1 to level 5. These are the easiest, and then of course you have the most difficult ones to dine with. And so that's a really fun experience as well, because everybody chooses something different. And then that isn't even getting into the type of cuisine. The duck and watermelon salad melts in your mouth, and the lobster pad thai, I told you there's an option for lobster every evening. So that's my wonderful, most favorite experience on board. But you can't go wrong with any of them when it comes to our Toscana restaurant, and now we have some wonderful Giada de Laurentiis. She's our godmother on board Vista. She has some amazing pasta dishes that are available in Vista. So there's so many different options, but that would be my experience.
That sounds amazing. It sounds something so unique, only to Oceania, something that not many people will be able to say unless they've been on one of your ships. No, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So another question that we had here was regarding, you touched on it for a bit, about reservations.
Mm-hmm.
So could you speak to just how early they need to reserve, if they want to reserve a private, I guess, event, if there is a birthday or a special event for a client or a group, where do they go to contact to make reservations, how early, things like that?
Sure, absolutely. So in regards to reservations, based on the category that your clients are booked in, will determine when they're able to make their reservations. So if they're in an owner suite or an Oceania suite, then they can make it a certain number of days prior if they're in a concierge level, and then verandas. In regards to any special requests, you would just notate that in the reservation, contact our guest services team, and let them know that there's a special event. It depends on what and on how elaborate you want to get. So if you note that there's a birthday, then we'll pay attention to that, and they might have a special dessert coming to them. But if you wanted to purchase a cake for them, then that would be something different, and just let us know, and we can accommodate that. There's cost involved for certain items, but again, it's a matter of letting us know what the interest is of the guests. So the more information we know, the better. And then when it comes to specific reservations, so on a 7-day cruise on Oceania, you're offered an option to dine in 2 of the specialty restaurants. And it's up to you to decide the time. The guest services team will be able to provide you with anything that's available. And then the longer cruises, of course, you'd be able to dine in each of the specialty restaurants one time throughout your cruise. If there's availability, I always say, no one can guarantee it, but if you've made your 4 reservations and your guest is sailing on board, if they visit the maitre d' or talk to their butler on board, then they'll look to see what options are available. We just want to make sure that all of our guests have the opportunity to dine as often as they can in those restaurants.
That answered their question. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. Last question, for dining and just being on board, is there a dress code for any of the restaurants or anything like that that guests should be aware of before they come on board?
As far as what we tend to do is we call it country club casual. So the attire on board is country club casual, and that basically means that it's a casual elegance about it. It's kind of one of those that you really put those 2 words together, but there is a level of elegance that can remain semi-casual. There's no formal nights on board Oceania, so no tuxedos, no formal gowns. There are options if you're interested. A sport jacket for the gentleman would be perfectly fine, but they wouldn't need to bring a tie. And then for ladies, a lot of times what happens is in our specialty dining restaurants, you might get a little more dressed up, and so a cocktail dress or a nice blouse with a pair of pants would be perfectly fine. So it's country club casual.
I think that's a great way to put it. Thank you for that explanation. A few of our attendees are asking or saying that they've been trying to book and it says waitlist only, and they're wondering how to get on the wait list, if there's any more opportunities for any of the cooking classes and things like that.
So absolutely, and I think that's 2 different questions. So one is, I'm ready to book an Oceania cruise and I see that the category I'm looking for is waitlisted. And if that's the case, you can always put a deposit down on a priority wait list, and that will then of course prioritize your reservation. We work our wait list. We want to be completely sold out. So as soon as someone cancels, we go in and look at our priority wait list to get those clients booked. So I wouldn't be afraid to put your a deposit down for a priority wait list, knowing that there's, it depends on the sailing. I can't tell you there's ever a guarantee because there's not, but I would highly recommend, if you see wait lists and you know your clients want it, put a deposit down on a priority wait list. And then the other question, Joanna, refresh what was the question about excursions or culinary center?
About excursions, well, I'm glad that you brought that up. So excursions, there's a few attendees asking, what is the ratio? How big are the groups for excursions? And then the other, I guess, two other prong to that question would be, if something is sold out, are there more opportunities? How do they get into those once it's sold out?
Okay, so the first one is, what's the ratio of guests on shore excursions? And I don't have a definite answer, but I can give you some guidance. It depends on the sailing that it depends on the excursion that you're choosing. So go back to Go Local. Go Local is going to be about 10 guests on that particular excursion, because it's a very small batch type excursion. You know, think about it. If you're going into someone's home, they can't take 30 people. So it's a small group. If you're going on a regional excursion and it's a city highlights tour, you might have maybe max of 30 people, but then they would divide into 2 different groups when you get to the particular destinations. So it just kind of depends on again, what your client is looking for. I hope that answered that question. The other question that I think came up was, what if something is sold out? So again, you can't put a priority wait list on an excursion, but you can wait list yourself for an excursion. And if you think about it, I mean, there's been so many challenges in certain areas of the world with excursions, but I will tell you that if something looks as if it's sold out, add your name to the wait list, because then what we do is our destination team looks at that. If we've got 10 or 12 guests enough to fill that particular excursion, then we'll go back to our ground operators and ask for an additional you know, vehicle or additional transportation to be able to make that confirmed for you. So we're constantly looking at any of the guests that are still interested in sailing on a particular excursion. And then think about it, you can also choose a backup if you want as well.
That's great information, and that did answer their question. We are running out of time here, so for those attendees who did put a question into the questions module, our presenters will get a list of the questions that were asked. They will also get a list of your contact information so that they can reach out to you regarding your questions that we weren't able to get to. Just to wrap up here, Tricia, thank you so much again for a very informative and engaging webinar. Do you have any contact information that you'd like to provide the group here, just so they can reach out to you if they have any further questions or want to get any information about any of the topics that you covered today?
Absolutely. If you need to reach out to me, that's perfectly fine. I can get you to the right person. If I can't answer it, it's Tricia Wolf. So it's actually T Wolf, W-O-L-F, at oceanacruises.com. You can also reach out to our Sales Resource Center, which is salesinfo@oceanacruises.com, and they will help you. They'll get you to the right area. Also, remember Oceana Cruises, so www.oceanacruises.com, and then you can go down to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you'll see the Travel Advisor Center. You can go in there and look for who your particular sales director is. But I have absolutely enjoyed this time. I thank you so much, Joanna, and everyone else for making this happen. I'm so excited to see that uptick in phone calls or reservations coming in from our CLIA members throughout the week.
Thank you again so much, Tricia. You all have a great day.
Thank you.